defensive assignment. In my opinion, I don't want to use the word running because I'm not trying to disrespect LeBron. But I will say this, there have been many, many occasions where I would have liked to have seen him accepting the tougher defensive assignment, and that is not something that he has been prone to do. If anybody would know whether or not that statement is true, it would be you, GP. Your thoughts?
Well, it is true. I think it's a different little era and with them too. Michael Jordan always took it to a point that he wanted to guard the best player, even with myself.
Gary Payton just dropped a bombshell on live TV that has the entire NBA world buzzing. The Hall of Fame defensive legend held nothing back as he dismantled the LeBron James GOAT argument in the most direct way possible. We're talking about one of the most respected two-way players in basketball history, completely rejecting the narrative that's dominated sports media for years. And this wasn't just disagreement, this was a full-blown takedown. This wasn't a casual debate between analysts. This was deeply personal. This was unfiltered. And judging by how LeBron supporters have fired back, we're witnessing an all-out basketball war that nobody anticipated. What exactly did Gary Payton say that ignited this firestorm? And why are NBA legends now choosing sides in what could be the most heated basketball debate of 2025?
And that artist, you're attacking me by extension, right? And it's just all so tiring right now.
I also think another part of it, and I'm curious what you think about this. I think the GOAT discussion and the favorite player discussion became intertwined in a way that was problematic, right?
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is when somebody says that's my GOAT, it is not simply that you think that they are the greatest player, it's that they are also your favorite player.
It started as a routine Tuesday morning sports show in January 2025. Gary Payton was brought on to discuss the current NBA landscape, share some classic stories from his playing days, and offer his perspective on today's rising stars. Standard Hall of Famer appearance. But the second the host mentioned the GOAT debate, specifically asking Gary where he'd place LeBron in the all-time rankings, the entire conversation shifted. You could see it immediately in Gary's expression, that legendary intensity, the change in his posture. The glove wasn't about to give the safe, diplomatic answer. He leaned in, locked eyes with the camera, and delivered a statement that would explode across the internet within an hour. Look, I got nothing but respect for what LeBron's done. Nothing. But this GOAT talk, this constant push to crown him over Mike, man, we gotta stop with that. We really gotta stop. The studio fell completely silent. The co-hosts traded uncomfortable glances, but Gary was nowhere near finished. I played against Michael. I played in that era. And what I'm watching now, it ain't the same. The competition ain't the same. The physicality ain't the same. And I'm tired of people acting like it is just to fit a narrative. The host attempted to interject, likely trying to dial down the tension or redirect to safer territory, but Gary raised his hand, shook his head firmly, and continued. You want to talk about LeBron's stats? Cool, let's talk about them. But let's also talk about how the game's been officiated the last 15 years. Let's talk about load management. Let's talk about super teams. Let's talk about 6 finals losses. 6, you hear me? Michael never gave his opponent a chance to celebrate on his home court, not once. Just like that, Gary Payton had detonated a controversy that would consume sports media for weeks. In the current generation, this was surgical, this was detailed, and this was devastating. First, Gary dismantled the statistical argument. You know the one, LeBron's all-time scoring record, his incredible longevity, his well-rounded skill set. It's the foundation of the case for LeBron as number one. But Gary flipped the entire premise. Stats are great, but context matters. LeBron's been in the league over 20 years. Of course he's going to have the numbers, but are we really going to sit here and pretend that pace of play, three-point shooting, and offensive freedom haven't inflated those numbers? Come on now. He emphasized that Michael Jordan's era featured slower-paced games, much more physical defense, and rules that actually allowed defenders to defend. Hand-checking was legal. You could use your body to contest drives. There was no defensive 3-second rule protecting offensive players in the paint. It was fundamentally a different brand of basketball. But here's where Gary delivered the knockout punch. He brought up the finals record, 6-0 versus 4-6, and he didn't just cite it, he hammered it home like it was the only statistic that truly mattered. You don't get credit for making it to the finals and losing. You just don't. That's not how greatness works. Michael went 6 for 6. Perfect. LeBron's got more losses in the finals than wins, and people want to crown him based on what? The atmosphere in the studio became noticeably tense. You could feel the discomfort through the screen. Gary's voice escalated now, not quite shouting, but forceful, emphatic. This clearly struck a nerve that went beyond casual basketball opinions. Then came the segment that truly sent social media into overdrive. Gary questioned the caliber of LeBron's competition. Who did LeBron beat in his prime that we're going to remember 20 years from now? Who's his rival? KD? They teamed up in Team USA. Steph? He needed to leave his team and join forces with other superstars to beat him. Kawhi? Please. I'm not saying LeBron didn't face competition, but Mike had to go through the bad boy Pistons, the Knicks, Reggie, Ewing, the Jazz with Malone and Stockton, legends every single round. Gary leaned back in his chair, folded his arms across his chest, and delivered his closing statement. LeBron's great, top 5 all time, easy, but he ain't Mike, and deep down, everybody knows it. We just don't want to say it out loud anymore because the media has been pushing this agenda so hard. Well, I'm saying it. Michael Jordan is the greatest to ever do it. Period.
I always tell people it's about an era. What y'all did. That's why I don't like people to ask me about a GOAT. Because a GOAT ain't gonna work for me. Because y'all didn't play the same time as each other. So I can't tell.
Within minutes, clips from Gary's interview flooded every platform. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, every major sports account was sharing it with headlines like Gary Payton destroys LeBron GOAT narrative and the glove speaks the truth. And the responses were absolutely polarizing. LeBron supporters were outraged. The comments became an absolute battlefield. People labeled Gary a hater, accused him of bitterness, suggested he was chasing relevance. One viral tweet declared, "Gary Payton won 1 ring his entire career and he's talking about LeBron? Make it make sense." That single tweet collected over 200,000 likes. But on the opposite side, old-school basketball purists were celebrating. They felt vindicated, like finally someone with genuine credentials was voicing what they'd believed for years. "Thank you, Gary," started trending. Fans circulated classic Michael Jordan playoff highlights with captions like, "This is what GOAT looks like." Other NBA legends began weighing in as well, though most took a more measured approach than Gary. One former champion posted a cryptic message on Instagram: "Real ones know the truth. You can't rewrite history just because it makes you uncomfortable." The post featured a photo of him alongside Michael Jordan, both holding championship trophies. The implication was unmistakable. Another Hall of Famer spoke on record. Gary said what a lot of us have been afraid to say. The game was different. The mentality was different. Losing in the finals 6 times would have been unacceptable in our era. We played to win, not just to compete. But here's where things took a fascinating turn. Reports began circulating that LeBron himself had watched the clip, and according to sources within his inner circle, he wasn't pleased. To fully understand why Gary Payton went this hard on national television, you need to understand who Gary Payton is. This is someone who spent his entire career being underestimated, overlooked, and doubted. He wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the most explosive athlete, but he was the toughest, the most competitive, the most relentless player on the floor. Gary built his Hall of Fame legacy on defense, an aspect of the game that doesn't always receive proper recognition in GOAT discussions. He guarded the best perimeter players in the world every single night. He talked trash to Jordan, to Kobe, to everybody, and he always backed it up with his play. So when he watches the modern narrative constantly elevating players based primarily on offensive statistics, social media influence, and career longevity over championship success, it frustrates him. It contradicts everything he represented as a player. In Gary's view, the GOAT debate isn't complex. It's about championships. It's about performance when the stakes are highest. It's about dominance against the absolute elite competition. And by those criteria, Michael Jordan is in a category by himself. But there's an even deeper layer here. Gary comes from an era where players took immense pride in defeating each other, not teaming up. The concept of forming super teams, of star players recruiting other stars to make their path easier, was completely foreign to his generation. You aspired to be the player who conquered the super team, not the one who assembled it. And LeBron, whether fairly or unfairly, has become the symbol of that super team era. From the decision in Miami to his return to Cleveland with significant roster manipulations to the way he's influenced team-building decisions everywhere he's played. It represents a fundamentally different philosophy of winning than what Gary and his peers valued. That's what powered Gary's comments. It wasn't hatred, it was frustration. Frustration that the standards for all-time greatness appear to have changed, that losing has become acceptable as long as individual numbers look good, that loyalty and grinding with one core group doesn't carry the same weight anymore. We wanted to beat the champion, not join them, Gary explained in a follow-up interview days later. That's just how we thought. Maybe I'm old school, maybe I'm stuck in my ways, but I'm not going to pretend like that difference doesn't matter when we're talking about the greatest of all time. Now, LeBron didn't directly respond to Gary's statements. That's not his approach. He's too media savvy for that. But his social media behavior in the days following the interview revealed plenty. First came the Instagram story. A plain black screen with white text reading, "They don't want you to pass their heroes. Stay focused." No additional context, no names mentioned, but everyone understood the target. Then a tweet appeared. Funny how people forget the journey when they're critiquing the destination, but hey, that's life. Again, subtle but clearly directed. People in LeBron's circle started defending him publicly. One prominent sports analyst who's known for supporting LeBron went on his podcast and countered Gary directly. With all due respect to Gary Payton, this is exactly what's wrong with basketball discourse. We're so obsessed with comparing eras that we can't just appreciate what we're watching. LeBron's been to 10 finals. 10! Gary made it to 1 and needed one of the greatest teams ever assembled to win it, so maybe pump the brakes on the criticism. That stung, and it wasn't inaccurate. Gary's championship came when he joined forces with Shaq on a stacked roster in 2006. The irony was lost on anyone. Other active players suddenly came to LeBron's defense. One All-Star posted a photo of LeBron with the caption, "The hate comes with greatness. Keep inspiring us, King." Another simply tweeted the crown emoji. But perhaps the most revealing reaction came anonymously. A report emerged claiming that LeBron's camp felt disappointed and believed Gary's comments were unnecessary and disrespectful. The source indicated LeBron has always respected Gary as a player and couldn't understand why he'd attack him so publicly on national TV. The report also mentioned that people around him encouraged him to ignore it, to not amplify it, but the damage was already done. The conversation had permanently shifted, and suddenly everyone was debating GOAT status again with renewed passion. Here's the reality about the GOAT debate. It's never purely about basketball, not completely anyway. It's about identity, it's about loyalty, it's about defending the era that shaped you and the players who defined your love of the game. For those who witnessed Michael Jordan dominate the 90s, he is the embodiment of basketball. He's the standard, the blueprint, the ultimate measuring stick. Watching LeBron elevated to that same tier, or in some arguments above Jordan, feels like an assault on their memories, their formative years, their definition of greatness. For younger fans who've grown up watching LeBron, he's the greatest they've ever witnessed. His longevity, his versatility, his ability to elevate everyone around him, that's their GOAT. And when legends like Gary Payton dismiss that achievement, it feels disrespectful to what they've observed for 2 decades. The truth is, both perspectives can exist simultaneously. Michael can be the most unstoppable, ruthlessly efficient winning machine the sport has ever produced, and LeBron can be the most complete, cerebral, durable player to ever step on an NBA court. They competed in different eras, under different rules, in different contexts. But that's not how sports debates function, especially in the social media era. We demand one definitive answer, one undisputed king, one GOAT. Gary Payton's comments forced everyone to choose a side once again, and in doing that, he reminded us that this debate will never truly reach a conclusion, because regardless of how many more championships LeBron wins, regardless of how many more records he shatters, there will always be those who believe Michael Jordan stands alone at the summit. Will Gary and LeBron ever address this face-to-face? Probably not. LeBron's too calculated to engage in a public war of words with a legend. And Gary, well, he's already said everything he needed to say. He doesn't need validation or acknowledgement. He spoke his truth. But here's what I want to know and what I want you to consider. Can we appreciate greatness without diminishing someone else? Can LeBron be extraordinary without reducing Jordan's legacy? Can Jordan be the GOAT without disrespecting what LeBron has accomplished? Gary Payton didn't think so. He drew his line in the sand, and now the basketball world is more divided than it's been in years. So where do you stand? Is Gary Payton correct? Is the GOAT debate being manufactured by media narratives instead of genuine on-court performance? Or is this simply another example of former players refusing to accept that the game has evolved and greatness can manifest differently than it did 30 years ago? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me who your GOAT is and why, because this conversation is far from over. At the end of the day, Gary Payton vocalized what millions have been thinking but hesitated to express publicly. Whether you agree with him or not, you can't deny that he ignited the most significant basketball conversation of 2025. The GOAT debate will continue raging. Legends will align themselves, fans will argue passionately, and somewhere Michael Jordan is probably smiling, knowing that even after all these years, his legacy remains untouchable in the eyes of those who actually competed against him.